Time for a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the front pages. This has the whiff of Munich. That's the headline on the front page of the Sunday Times this morning. That's as the paper says, Defence Secretary Ben Wallace has likened the last-minute Western diplomatic efforts to stop Russian aggression to appeasement.
Mayor issues threat to veto appointment of Met Chief. It's the long headline on the front of this morning's Observer. It reports that the London Mayor Sadiq Khan has vowed to oppose anyone for the role of Metropolitan Police Commissioner who does not understand, in its words, the deep cultural problems within the force.
The Telegraph is reporting on problems with some vaccination records, which the paper claims is preventing families from foreign travel. It says more than 1 million people have been affected by the inaccurate documenting of COVID jabs on a central database. The NHS said it was working quickly and efficiently to resolve any issues.
And the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall will be crowned side by side, the Mail on Sunday reports. According to the paper, the future coronation service at Westminster Abbey will be much shorter and cheaper than in the past.
So there's your front pages. We've just been having a quick look inside. One of the stories, lots of them have gone with this morning.
Go on. It's a similar theme to the kind of short and cheap coronation. Well, actually, they didn't say cheap, to be fair. It's a shorter coronation. There's a thing about weddings here as well. Yeah,
in lots of the papers this morning. So if you want to stay married, statistically, have a cheap wedding. A picture of Russell Brand and Katy Perry, who got married in India, had an extravagant nuptials with a parade of camels and elephants and a gift of a Bengal tiger for the bride. A year later, they were divorced. Now, statistically, expensive weddings are twice as likely to end in divorce within 3 years. That's according to a study by the Marriage Foundation. 1 in 10 weddings that cost more than £20,000 ended in divorce in the first 3 years. The average divorce rate within 3 years is 1 in 20. This is quite interesting at the bottom. I don't know if you can see this. This is a graph of couples divorcing in England and Wales. So you can see from a sort of last 100... I love a graph. Occupational hazard 120 years ago, so barely any. Divorce Reform Act in 1969 saw it soar. But this is really interesting. Look how much the number of divorces has come down since the 90s.
So with our business brain on here, we would also need to look at the number of weddings in the first place, right? So maybe fewer people are getting married, there are fewer divorces.
Also, I predict, I don't know if you can go back to that dip in 2020, post-lockdown, it's going to go like that.
You reckon?
Isn't it? Off the charts. Yeah, fed up.
There's a great quote on the same story here in the Mail on Sunday, and it says, so it seems that there's a happy medium, so you can't have loads of people at your wedding, but also if you have too few, that's not a good sign either. 34% of couples that had 10 or fewer guests also ended up in divorce.
Oh.
But there's a great quote at the end of this, and it says, so the wedding day, you know, people dream of the big dress, the beautiful country manor house, all those things that might overshadow the real reason for getting married. It says, then you're there on the wedding day, sitting there, looking across the table at the person that you've married, and you think, well, this was fun, but it isn't really matching up to my expectation. I don't know whether that's the wedding or the person. But nonetheless, yes.
I do think that, though, when you spend a lot of money and years preparing, are you setting yourself up for disappointment?
Climax.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I wouldn't know. I was very much in the cheap camp, which bodes well, I suppose, for a long marriage. Yeah.